There's never been a better time to have SiriusXM. With over 140 channels in your vehicle, your all-access trial includes more than ever before to enjoy online, on your phone, or at home. Create your own ad-free personalized stations powered by Pandora. Hear ad-free extra channels and enjoy favorite shows with SiriusXM Video on Demand. What you love is on now.
What's going on, everybody? Happy Monday to all. Welcome to another episode of CMA Connected, presented by SiriusXM. I'm your host, Bmw, and on today's lunchtime learning session, we're going to be talking to a brand and about a brand that could be your next most important OEM integration partner. Yes, we're talking about Connects2. Now, I know what you're thinking. Some of you feel like this has been kind of like in your pocket for a long time, this brand here that helps you with, those applications that might not be so easy to find solutions for. And for others, this may be the first time you've heard of this brand. Well, on today's show, we're going to have the answers for you. We're going to run down exactly what this brand is all about, the offering that it has, and the solutions that it provides. And I think you'll see by the end of the show exactly where this is going to fit in your arsenal of tools to integrate your next customer's vehicle. All right, so to get this done, we're going to bring in, of course, the distributor for Connects2 here in Canada, which is Importel, and their main man, their 12-volt specialist, good friend, Mr. Romesh, will be joining us. Let's go ahead and bring Romesh on. What's going on, Rom?
Bonjour, Monsieur Leroux.
Bonjour, bonjour. I am doing fantastic. I hope you had a good weekend. I've been looking forward to this particular episode because this is a brand that I mean, obviously, we've done a lot of these episodes and we've done a lot of coverage of different brands. This particular category is a money-making category and a crucial category for dealers to succeed. There are some big players, right, in this category. Absolutely. And Connects2 has a special place.
Yeah, Connects2, I mean, as far as solutions, you're talking about, profitability. I mean, even for the consumer, a lot of these vehicles, you could use the term, I guess, enthusiast vehicles. Even if they're not enthusiast vehicles in the traditional sense of being really fast and sporty, a lot of times they have a luxury quotient or a functionality kind of upgrade versus other vehicles on the market. So people kind of buy, like you and me, we talk cars all the time when we're not on here, and you kind of want what you want, right? I mean, you want nice ergonomics and, nice interiors and quiet interiors and things like that. And a lot of the times those vehicles come with upgraded audio systems that are more difficult to replace factory radios.
It certainly make it more and more challenging. I think that's been, pretty consistent across the board. Everybody will agree to that.
CarPlay, Android Auto, things that were never heard of when some of these vehicles were made. Right.
Yeah, and from all these type, the OEMs have worked really hard at improving these original systems and the way that they function and the experience, the user experience, especially in some of these premium vehicles, Romesh. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, we have our clients that, regardless of what it is, factory, they want to switch it out, and that's what we're all about.
Right. Absolutely, and that's where Connects2 fits in. I mean, they've got a. I don't want to take too much thunder away from our friend, our colleague who'll be joining us here shortly. Close to bedtime over where he's at, but so I appreciate him, coming out and helping us out. But a lot of those applications are not middle of the road just because they're not available from anybody else. They're really bespoke solutions
and exclusive to Connects2.
They are.
Interesting. Okay, so. The brand, their headquarters are based out of the UK. That's right. We're going across the pond today, where our guest today is the expert over at Connects2. His actual title is the Export Aftermarket Sales Manager, and he is a handsome fellow we're happy to have on today. Let's go ahead and get him on the show. His name is Stuart Jones from Connects2. What's going on, Stuart? Welcome to CMA Connected.
Hi, Ben. How are you? How are you, Romesh?
Hey, Stuart. How are you?
Yeah, I'm great. Thank you. You guys keeping well?
We are keeping fantastic. The weekend blew by, unfortunately, a little bit quickly. But like I mentioned at the top of the show, I was kind of excited to get you on today because I feel that this is going to be very beneficial for the dealers that we have tuning in to get a better understanding. Well, I know that you're going to help us understand a little bit more about the offering that Connects2 has to offer. But maybe we can start, Stuart, by asking you the question, just set this up for us. How long has Connects2 kind of been in business? Like, is this all you guys do? And has this been something that is an incredible product that you find, especially on your side of the country, or the world rather, that dealers absolutely need to succeed?
Yeah, 100%. Obviously, if there's features in vehicles that they aren't there when the vehicle's been manufactured and they want to add those features, we provide the tools, the features to allow you to install that, like Android Auto, Apple CarPlay, reverse cameras back onto an original system, that sort of thing. So if there's something that you want to add to your car that maybe you've brought it and it's not there, you come to Connects2, essentially.
That is an incredibly important point to point out, because with the global supply demand thing going on right now, manufacturers are having a hard time, producing these newer vehicles. So what's happening is there's going to be a heavy shift towards the slightly used market, especially in the premium vehicle market. So that, for me, and I think you guys agree with where I'm going with this next year, maybe 2 years, is going to be incredibly dependent on those aftermarket solutions for, these type of vehicles. Romesh, what do you think about that?
We're already seeing it, Ben. We're seeing it in the rise in the value of the aftermarket resale value on vehicles. We're seeing recently there was the announcement from GM and a couple of other domestic manufacturers with where they won't be including heated seats in the vehicles because there's IC issues. So integrated controllers from those chipsets aren't available. So they're actually literally selling cars in Canada, which is kind of mind-boggling, without even an option for heated seats. And they're actually, and if the car was spec'd originally with heated seats, they're actually kicking back the money to the consumer, going, figure it out.
Wow.
So I mean, we are in a bit of a different or interesting time. We've seen with Connects2, a lot of those, the lack of vehicles in the, I'll say, more pedestrian vehicles where people wanted higher end feature sets. Those were already available 5, 8, 10 years ago in a lot of the used vehicles, or upper end used vehicles, like we were talking about earlier. Backstage, we were talking about some, like X5s and some different vehicles just that are out there. Those vehicles came pretty well equipped, except they didn't have CarPlay because it might not have existed depending on the vintage, right? So CarPlay, Android Auto, but you had the heated steering wheels in some of them, and you had all the steering wheel controls, and you had dual climate control, and all those things that are kind of maybe newer sometimes in a lower trim level vehicle, or some of the more common vehicles. I don't want to pick a particular brand, but
right. And Stuart, have you kind of seen the same type of trend in your neck of the woods?
Yeah, 100%. Suzuki is one of them, actually. That vehicle's been supplied into certain countries without a radio being installed now.
Wow.
So we've seen quite a big uptrend for stock for that car.
And this obviously sets up well for the products that you offer through Connects2, because we're talking about integration solutions. So on that note, I'm going to go ahead and bring this up here. Let's take a look at Connects2 unrivaled integration for the automotive industry. Stuart, I'd like you to expand on that statement a little bit for us.
Yeah, I mean, because Connects2, we're essentially we are first to market traditionally with product. So for us, we are unrivaled with that. Very quick, we can get a product to market. We've got as far as purchasing the vehicle and had it imported from what was one of the last ones, Australia, to work on product for that, and that product's now being built and sold and back into the market that way. We again, if there's a vehicle that we need to see that's somewhere else in the world, the engineers, they haven't got a problem with jumping on a plane and going to see these guys.
So let's set the precedent here, and maybe you can help me on this one, Romesh. I mean, this is not the brand that you're going to for an F-150 or like a Silverado pickup, correct?
No, I mean, are there solutions from Connects2? Yes. Okay. Are we importing them? Are we importing a second or third or fourth solution to the same vehicle? That's already available. No, unless there's a higher feature set level available or better level of integration. And I think, you know, as we go through some of the different items that we'll talk about, I'll kind of try to jump in on some key differences or upgrades that consumers want. But really where Connects2 fits in is, I mean, normally most of the stuff they have, nobody else just has.
There you go.
Like it's just plain. I mean, it's just, hey, what do you have for this? And I mean, and you know, I'll point at some of our friendly dealers and they know who they are, so I won't name them by name. But they're, you know, a lot of times dealers get in the train tracks, and I was the same way when I was in retail, and probably the same way in the building too. You have a certain process and system, and you go through it, and you go, oh, there's nothing available for that car, and I'm like, hey, did you check Connects2? And they're like, nope. I'm like, you better check it.
So this is about education. Right? This is about education.
It is about education,
awareness.
and it's those solutions. I think a couple of slides in, I'll come back to this because it ties into Connects2 has a bandwidth and a capability that few, if any, have. I don't want to go out there on a, you know, walk the plank myself. But I'd almost say there's nobody else that can do it.
Well, let's Stuart walk the plank.
Yeah, Stuart, walk the plank.
Okay, Stuart. The floor is yours, sir. I'm going to go ahead and put these slides. So obviously we're looking at a pretty impressive infrastructure here.
Yeah, that's our home. It's where I'm sat right now, actually. So that's where in Kings Winford.
So what goes on in this building?
Pretty much everything. What you can see on that front windows there, that's mainly the offices across there, where you've got the sales office, you've got the conference room, some of the development guys are in there as well, and the technical support across that front bit. At the back, you've got production. Right at the back, you've got where the cars come in. If there's guys working on different vehicles for whatever reason, if there's any technical issues, if there's a new project that we're working on.
So the R&D happens here as well?
Yeah. And then we've got the warehouse of the product as well.
Okay, very good. So
yeah, Connects2, we started in 1999. We were first to market with a CD changer product. So you could add a CD changer to a radio, more of a relic now, isn't it? That type of product.
It is.
And over time, we've grown that now to just short of 4,500 product lines, which is quite considerable, really. I mean, with that, over the years, we've grown to be able to work with OEM manufacturers. So we had a project where we were supplying into Fiat UK. That was supplying those guys with a one-box solution. And that covered their entire vehicle range, really, where you got Fiat, Alfa, Jeep, Chrysler. They could go to a dealer, order an aftermarket radio, and it was our kit essentially that went in there. And we did with other dealers as well. Those guys have also got links into OEM manufacturers, and we supplied into Ferrari. We had the car actually delivered here. It was here for some time. So if you wanted to add a aftermarket, reverse camera onto that vehicle, it's essentially our product that was created.
So you're an OEM supplier to Ferrari?
Yes. It is via a distributor.
Fair enough.
But yeah, we've got 20 years of CAN bus integration. The engineers, as we mentioned, those guys will travel the globe to go and visit these vehicles, or if we can get access to vehicles again, we have quite a good relationship with the local guys, so we can get our hands on a car quite quickly. 100 dedicated staff, obviously all working from here. In-house technical support, which obviously when things do go wrong, and they do, we've got our own technical support team that are here to assist you guys. I think Romesh will be able to back us up here with quick you can get in touch with the guys.
Oh yeah, no. Tech support. Usually, dealers will contact us. We'll hop on an email with the dealer and tech support in England. Raj and the team that typically answer those questions are pretty quick. They do answer it what would be in their time zone, absolutely ungodly hours, which I don't want to hold them to that, but they do go well above and beyond. Which makes it easier for us at our end, especially for guys on the West Coast that are, right now are just waking up or having breakfast at 9 o'clock, right? And I think for Stuart, it's almost supper time. So we cover, quite a bit, and the support is It's extremely knowledgeable.
That's good to hear. The line here, Stuart, that really pops out: 20 years of CAN bus integration. I wasn't even aware that we were integrating into CAN bus for 20 years.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah. We're one of the early adopters, really. To get your aftermarket products into vehicles when the CAN network started coming around.
Very interesting.
If I can just jump in there with the CAN bus portion, one of the real parts that are super important, and we'll see it as we go through, is Connects2, organically or with purpose, have really been, for radio integration, the leaders in most technology. So media oriented synchronous transport, the fiber optic little lines that, for consumers that are listening out there that don't know what most means, because we'll keep throwing this word most around, and often people will think that means a lot of, like most people. So understanding that kind of little bit. So having most engineering in-house, there are very, very few companies that do. A lot of them in North America either outsource. Doesn't mean there aren't any. It just means there aren't very many. So having the CAN bus guys and the most guys all being the same team or in the same house, it means that all of those vehicles that typically cannot be solved, and this is where I was kind of tiptoeing around earlier, or what I was tiptoeing around earlier. Connects2 can really get those solutions done, and they're done in a way that everything works and makes sense. And they know, like when I send a message to tech support and they go, "Oh yeah, that vehicle sometimes came with this." Well, they actually know.
They really know.
They're like,
they really know.
Yeah, grab a multimeter, measure this, tell me what it is. If it's this, it's the, if you measure, 5 volts, it's this, and if you measure below that, it's that. That's the solution, but they know because they build it, right?
Okay. So what is this about here, Stuart?
Essentially, that's how our part numbers line up. So if you're looking through for a certain product and you're looking to go that as a product by itself rather than as a complete kit, you'd normally come along these part numbers. So CTU, that's our inf adapter, which we're going to touch on a bit later on. So that retains information that's normally passed through the original radio. You need to access the vehicle settings. So like Golf Mark 7, for instance, if you wanted to see when the car's next due for service, or if you need to see something, you still need to see that information. So that interface, CTU, that's what retains that, but it also takes care of your steering wheel controls, and it'll let you add on a reverse camera as well. And you've also got some other outputs on that interface that allow you to add other products. Then you've got the CTS, which is the steering wheel control. That will take care of your steering wheel controls. With that, obviously, you do need a patch lead with that, as you do with the inf adapter. You just have to make sure with that particular product line, if you want to go CT multi-lead, it'll cover every eventuality for you. But some people, if they've got a dedicated one, Sony Kenwood Pioneer, for instance, you can have the dedicated patch lead as well.
Yeah, we typically stock the CT multi-lead too. We do have a couple of the other brand specific ones. We encourage the dealers keep 1 or 2 of these leads in the CT multi-leads in stock. And the reason for that is in case you forget to order it and you order the parts in, you got the car apart and you go, oh snap, the owner, the manager didn't order what I needed them to order. For a very, very inexpensive lead, like less than $10 retail.
We're talking about a T-harness, right?
No. So the CTS, all the CTS product connects to steering wheel interfaces. They're radio replacement interfaces with the steering wheel, what would usually be a secondary part with other brands, all integrated into the one. But there is a lead, it's $10 retail or less, right? That goes between that lead and the vehicle. Or sorry, between the vehicle and the aftermarket radio. So what Stuart was referring to is the multi-lead will work on a Sony, Pioneer, Kenwood, JVC, Clarion, Alpine, like pretty much every brand, right? That has, any tier 1 brand of radio, that one lead will work. It has multiple connections for all the different types, and you just cut a jumper and install it.
Got it.
What Stuart was referring to is they also make a brand specific lead, like a dash Sony, a dash Pioneer, a dash whatever. Because they're priced the same, there's really no, I don't feel like there's a huge benefit to the dealer, because even if they only stock, as Stuart was referring to, they stock one particular brand and they focus on, let's say, Kenwood, or they focus on, JVC or whatever brand. if someone walks in off the street with a radio going, "Hey, this is out of my last car. I want to put this in."
Right.
You're like, "Oh
The
snap!
multi-lead will handle.
I don't
many
have
more
this $10
situations.
part, and now I can't do this install."
Right. Because I noticed it says here there's no additional programming required.
No.
Gotcha.
So if they follow the instructions, and this is the key point, follow the instructions. They're very intentionally written, showing that you connect the harness, or what Stuart will refer to as a stock, if anybody just nomenclature differences. You connect it to the back of the radio first before you connect it into the car, because once it's powered up, it automatically detects what it's connected to.
Gotcha. Okay.
Right. So no programming, no figuring out, just read the instructions.
Did he get that right, Stuart?
He did, yeah.
He
Plug and
nodded,
play.
so I felt like I was
Yeah,
on the right.
you just have to make sure you connect to the radio first, connect to the vehicle last, and then it auto detects essentially.
All right. Let's continue with the last three items on the bottom there.
Cool. So we've got CT51. Those are mainly our active system adapters. Most commonly, the Audi is the one for us, really, where some vehicles are either fully amplified or half amplified. There's no steering wheel controls to take care of, or the customer doesn't want to retain the steering wheel controls for whatever reason. Essentially, you'd use that plug and play harness, and away you go. It's quite straightforward installation, that one is.
Yeah, and those CT51 solutions, again, the ones that we're carrying, really cover vehicles that nobody else has sorted. So jobs that dealers and consumers are walking into shops and people are going, I don't know, right? Or I'm gonna have to rewire your car. If you're not taking that extra, 16 seconds to click on your mouse and drill down, you're gonna miss these opportunities because they're typically in stock.
Okay. CT10.
CT10. Now, those if you did want to install a Bluetooth hands-free kit, so a T harness, that basically the CT10, and that'll cover for non-amplified solutions within there. You do get the CTT, which is essentially the same thing, but it takes care of amplified vehicles as well.
Right.
Okay.
So for dealers out there, just I know it's not sexy. It's a T harness for putting a Bluetooth system, hands-free Bluetooth system in. While the category, like I said, isn't a lot of flash, it's still a vibrant category for us. You're going to see a whole bunch of vehicles now out there in Canada, like the Dodge Journey, some of the Dodge minivan stuff, entry level Dodge
Don't
Ram.
have Bluetooth? Stop.
No Bluetooth, no Doppler, sir.
No Doppler.
That's a really direct, non-technical translation. There's also some cars like in the CTT, like there's still some Cadillacs out there that actually didn't have Bluetooth.
Wow.
But they were amplified.
Amplified, but no Bluetooth.
So you had to put a bunch of relays in and make this whole smorgasbord kind of solution. So those CTT products, they're in stock for the amplified pain in the butt cars. So even if the harness is, I don't know, I'm just throwing numbers around, but say $200 retail, it's probably still less than you building a whole flip-flop relay system
that
and
may or
first
may not
trying
work.
to figure it out if you didn't have the wiring diagram, and then trying to make it work, and then trying to find the mute wire for the factory amp, and you're going to be, between the time and the parts.
Just order the CT harness already.
Order the harness, plug it in, and you're done.
Gotcha.
Right.
So, Stuart, this is a word I seen you mention just previous. Infodapter. This seems to be a unique term for Connects2 product. Why don't you tell us what we're looking at here?
Sure. So as we touched on slightly before, sometimes there's vehicles where there's information that's passed through the original radio, or the vehicle's submenus are passed through the original radio. And obviously, if you're going to install an aftermarket radio and you're going to upgrade it to get different features, you're going to lose access to them. And that's what this piece essentially does. So you've got within that, you can see when the car's being serviced, when the car's due for service. You'd have like your driver assistant, central locking. So those submenus are recreated within there. Some vehicles, some vehicles are amplified. So we've got the amp retention interfaces in there if we need to. Some vehicles obviously aren't, so we don't need to do that. With that, if there's a reverse camera, that needs to be retained to go through the aftermarket radio. You get the piece with that as well. So it really is. Well, it was called an information adapter at one point, but we did shorten that to be able to get access. You could see what parts you're going to be looking for.
Very nice. I noticed a Porsche Cayenne, which is obviously not an application that you see every day, but
you would be surprised.
But there are a lot
of
Porsche Cayennes out there, though. Like I see a lot of them.
We brought those CTU, like that particular harness, when it first came out.
Yep.
And we sold through them right away.
Really?
And they were on back order for a while, not part related, but more just production, like trying to make as many as they could. That solution is surprisingly required.
Interesting. Okay, well, I know we have a video that I think will further illustrate what Stuart is explaining here. We'll watch the video, and we'll come right back and discuss it.
Awesome.
So as per usual, I have some questions for you. First of all, that was very seamless integration. Like that was an Audi or a Volkswagen, I presume, based on the steering wheel design of that. Or maybe it was a Porsche. I don't know. I'm never been in a Cayenne myself. However, here's my first question. The graphical representation of the climate control, is that Connects2 design, or does that mimic the original graphical representation? What are we looking at? Stuart, maybe you can help us with that.
That's a Connects2 graphic.
Really?
That one is, yeah. So each menu that you see is one that we've created. So you'd see like the fan speed again, another graphic. So it did take some time to create that initially.
No kidding, because that's just the hardware anymore. Now that's software programming, graphical software. And what about the reverse sensors? Is that also a unique Connects2 design?
Yeah, I mean, there's one that we did with the Cayenne. We wanted to recreate the one that's there, so you can see as it gets closer, the colors change.
Yeah,
so
we've seen that.
We with that particular one, obviously, with the user that you're looking to sell to, they want to keep as original as possible to also add the features that they're looking for, like your CarPlay and your Android Auto.
From a consumer experience, I'm the owner of the vehicle. That happened to be a Pioneer screen that was in that video, but I noticed it works with Alpine and other brands. When I put it in reverse, it works as if it was OE. Automatically, that screen pops up. There's nothing for me to go get a menu, press another feature. Everything is done as if it was original equipment from the manufacturer.
Essentially, yeah. There is a subsetting within there where you can change what would pop up first, what takes priority. So if you wanted the graphic screen to take the priority, you can have that setting. If you wanted the camera to pop up first, again, you can have that as a setting.
Okay, and Romesh, question for you. Based on this visual that we have here on the screen,
sure,
these units are application specific. These are not flashed modules, right?
No, 100% application specific. So there's a CTU. When we kind of go a few slides forward, we'll see this is the P002 CTU P002. There's a P001 in the info adapter. So there are vehicle specific, different variants, different harnesses for different variants of the same vehicle.
Gotcha. And
Okay.
again, this is another rendition of what we just saw as far
Yeah,
as
and so the
graphics
key
are concerned.
to hit, not to kill the same point, but for consumers and dealers out there, when people are picking up either a used vehicle, and they've had it for a couple of weeks, and they're like, "Oh, I love this feature. This is amazing," and then like, "Oh, I just wish it had CarPlay," and they come into your shop, they want to replace the vehicle CarPlay, but they don't want to lose those features that were super awesome. And the car is usually still fresh to them, new to them. May not be a new car, but it's new to them. So taking out a feature, coming into your facility, being happy about paying a certain sum of money for the radio and all the labor and whatever is required, and then leaving without a feature they came in with isn't really considered an upgrade.
No, and they'd probably be pretty upset.
Right, and that's
Especially
how we avoid it. Right, and that's how we avoid it.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Okay. So like you, I don't know the Cayenne. I don't think any of us do. However, knowing that this is that we need to check these vehicles and understand that if we try, not that there is another solution, but if there were, typically it wouldn't integrate because most companies don't have this type of engineering that they have available over as a plug and play solution. And like you said, Ben, you were referring to brand. These are non-brand specific solutions.
Mm-hmm.
So as long as it has a video
point, this is an Alpine in this one.
Right. So as long as it has a video input,
right,
like a dedicated video input that can be set to camera.
Mm-hmm.
And then
that's the trigger, the camera input. Okay.
Well, there's a camera input, and I think it's also using a video input as well, right, Stuart?
That's right.
Both, right. So it has to have a dedicated camera input and a video and a just a separate auxiliary video input.
Right.
And those two things working together give you, which is not a very brand specific.
No, but I just love the fact that, again, connecting the integration, the user experience, the connecting to the CAN bus to get this information. I mean, it's all there.
Right. We talked about, availability of, different products and things that are going on in the marketplace. Mm-hmm. If you don't have brand A, but you have brand B, or you don't have brand B, but you have brand C on your shelf, this works with all of it.
Gotcha.
So that as a dealer,
money,
right? Well, it allows you to sell what you have on the,
sure.
100%. SWAT. Right.
All right. So that was, just previous to that, that was the new Golf. Now this is the BMW 3 and 4 series.
Yeah, so this kit works for the most amplified vehicles, so the fiber optic loop. Traditionally, that obviously you have to keep that information passing through. So those kits are quite more in depth as what we'd say. So in this kit that you're seeing here, you've got the CTS BM14, which will do your amp retention. Obviously, we can do your pick up and your hang up on your phone. Still retains all your part brake, plug and play. Got your ignition feeds in there and generates your speed pulse. And with that particular one, it is almost like a change on the dash, really, because we take out the one slot where the radio would sit, and then obviously the doubled in aftermarket unit is quite a bit bigger than that original slot. So the plastic had to be made almost bespoke, so you could get a doubled in unit in there.
Is that a textured finish? It's hard to see on the screen, but or is it just a smooth finish? Is it always the same type of plastic material? Does it vary from kit to kit?
No, we try to match the dash to what's there. Right. So if there is a textured finish, we'll try and match that.
Very good.
Obviously, trying to match black, there's probably a few hundred shades of black. Yeah, the hardest one to match. But we get as close as we possibly can with that.
Okay.
The textures are fantastic. We've had dealer feedback in the past where there were competing brands or competing solutions for a piece of plastic for some older vehicles, and dealer feedback was there was a pushback to wanting to have the exact OE texture and finish. So
okay.
So what we've listed there is I kind of made a little mistake on the slide, so I'll take blame for this. I won't throw Stuart under the bus on this. So it says for most amplified vehicles, I believe the CTS BM, and I'm doing this from memory, 15.2 is amplified, or is it 14? Anyways, one of them is the amplified, one of them is the non-amplified. So all the same parts will fit both vehicles aside from the harness. And I've listed both harness numbers there. So any dealers watching this later or consumers, they'll know that. So we carry them as the root parts. So CTS BM 14.2 or a 15.2. One is amplified, one's not amplified,
One's not.
I believe. And then the plastic will be the same, the CT23 BM18, which is shown there. CT Multi-Lead 2 we talked about before, and then the CT27 AA14, which is the antenna adapter.
The antenna adapter, you said?
Yes, sir.
Yes, okay. We have another video to take a look at while we're looking at these types of kits. I believe the next video is about a Macon. Maybe you can set us up for what we're about to see, Romesh.
So we were talking about info adapters before, and the Macon again is another, or Macon, I don't know what the correct pronunciation is.
Tomato.
Yeah, okay. Well, we have the expert. They invented the language. Macon, that was invented.
Is it a Macon or a Macon? Stuart, please end this debate.
Macon.
It's a Macon. Done.
Yeah,
Macon
there
it
you
is.
go. So we've got an info adapter solution. Again, not something that I've seen from any other manufacturer. Well, let's take a look at the install, and then we'll come back and we'll kind of.
Yeah, we're gonna kind of, from what I understand, we're gonna jump forward because everybody knows how to install it. We're gonna
the
features.
like,
all right.
Yeah, we don't have to take apart the dash.
With the info adapter installed, your new aftermarket head unit will now respond to OEM steering wheel functions, and when the scroll button is held down, you are then able to access the unique configuration menu. Herein, you will find submenus for the screen size and position, as well as the brightness, contrast, and saturation of key infographics.
I like that
Accessing the preferences menu, you will find a number of options that relate to the vehicle's reverse camera. Herein, you can select whether the camera is OEM or aftermarket, as well as a selection of options that control when and how the camera feed is displayed. When you're happy with your preferences, you can then view your reverse camera on screen and toggle the new Park Assist visualization by using the scroll button. For more information concerning our new Porsche kits, follow the on-screen details or head on over to Connects2.com.
So that infographic there, I didn't want to talk over it. That infographic, the parking assist that we talked about earlier, if it comes in with it and if it doesn't leave with that feature, that is a guarantee. Like, put yourself in the consumer. If you were the consumer, that's not a happy conversation to start with. The ability to adjust, like in the first screen where we were seeing the screen, it was showing the screen picture size. In layman's terms, you know, when you've got your laptop connected to your television and you got to adjust the overscan.
Oh, that's what that is, right? Okay,
you're right.
You maximize that screen,
right? So you know, if people can relate to that, then they understand why you need that in an aftermarket vehicle or aftermarket radio into a OE vehicle screen. Because if you have no control over it, it's like you plug in your laptop and everything's all whacked and janky.
Well,
right?
a lot of these cases, these OE screens aren't even standard sizes, right? Not standard ratios, anyways.
Right. So and right. So everything becomes a game of trying to make it work. So you don't there's that takes the hour or 2 hours of hair pulling in your install bay out because it's seconds. Right? You know, put it in reverse. Oh, a little bit more. Okay, put it back in reverse. Okay, good. Next. Right? So all that adjustability and those screens that are built in for all the info adapter product that has the visual overlay. There's really nothing like it.
Interesting.
And that's where, you know, and this applies to, I mean, we use the Macon, it applies to Cayenne, it applies to 991, 911, the new 911s. It applies to Volkswagen Golf we were talking about earlier, or GTI as we'd call it over here. It applies to Audi. I'm trying to think. I'm missing some. But anyways, so as more and more vehicles come with those features, Connects2 is going to continue to retain those features. And I don't really know how else you're going to do it because there isn't a way to do it.
And they do it well. It's not just like being the only option is one thing. Doing it
properly.
Well, doing it properly, that's another element. You know, I need to bring this back up. My fault. I skipped this slide, and the reason, you know, we were showing the 3 and 4 series, but this is a visual representation of the before and after of that kit. And when Stuart was mentioning, you know, had to put the climate controls up higher, I mean, there it is right there. Now you see exactly what it takes to change and how seamless that is right there.
Yeah, that's not just unclipping it and
Yeah.
and
No. That's more than a nose job, as we say.
Oh wow, you went there.
It's more than just a nose job. Okay.
All right. I'm just leaving that alone.
Okay, so you're talking about the Porsches, you're talking about the Macan.
So yeah, we threw this
Cayenne.
together. I mean, that's just some of the vehicles. I realized that there's a few more Porsches that are not on there, but we've got 986, we've got 987, 987, or sorry, 987.1, 987.2, 992. We've got 986 Boxster came in, 987 Boxster came in. We've got first, second, third gen of Cayenne, and I didn't put Macan on there, so Macan's covered as well.
Pretty covered in the Porsche market.
Well, in the Porsche market, and then that sort of translates into other platforms like Audi and Land Rover and Volvo and all of these cars that typically shops go, yeah, sorry, we right from memory because they've been asked so many times. Yeah, I don't have it. Yeah, you do have it.
Man, they even have Porsche Panamera. Wow.
Right, Panamera. There's another one I missed.
Right.
So you want to do this one, Stu, or?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, again, we've got the info adapter on there, but we've got the Porsche Cayenne, the Panamera, and the Macan. Again, we support the most amplified and the non-amplified vehicles. And we also support it with just the stock only, in terms of stock amplified and stock non-amplified, just because of the customer's budget. It just to help to support those guys in that way. It just depends on their budget points, really. If they don't want to retain those features, or if the budget can't quite stretch to it, obviously you go towards just your stock only version.
Now I actually had a question on that. Were those vehicles available without parking sensors, like in a lower trim level? Like, was there an entry level Macan, or I mean, I don't know if there's such a thing as entry level Panamera, but anyways,
I think there were some that didn't have parking sensor. I'd have to double check that myself, but I think there was some around there.
Were they available in Canada? That's the other question,
right?
Because sometimes there are some more basic trims available in Europe that we don't even get,
or vice versa sometimes,
right? Like diesel engines. Sorry.
Oh, sorry.
I just go back to the conversation we had
sorry.
earlier. All right. So here we're talking about amplified, non-amplified systems for both the Panamera.
Right. So basically how
Cayenne here.
Right. So how this breaks out is there's 4 flavors, as I like to call it. There's in the info adapter style, there's most amplified and non-amplified, and non-info adapter, there's most amplified and non-amplified. And I think if I'm a consumer or retailer, and like Stuart said, the budget obviously is budget.
But I'm sorry, I'm going to stop you there for a second. You're talking about budget on a Porsche Macan,
right? And that's what I'm saying is, if it came in with the features, I don't think I'm even talking about another option unless it's really hinging on, like, they bring up, the consumer's like, listen, I want to spend the least amount possible.
Yeah,
because,
but
right,
as a dealer, I'm speaking on behalf of the dealer now. If I'm going to provide you a solution, sir, ma'am, for your Macan,
we had those discussions internally, and we feel like the PO2 and the PO1 are more important than the 7.2 and the 8.2. As far as it's always best to have the vehicle leave with the features it came in with, because it's really hard to have a conversation after and say, remember that time 3 weeks ago when I told you?
Yeah, you don't do that,
right? Well, you're not going to win it.
No.
Right? I mean, even if you did, and even if you had it on the email and
if you're going to spend the money on the premium head unit, the install to tear this apart, the premium kit to get everything integrated.
I agree.
I mean, I don't have the price list in front of me.
I mean, but I mean, we're talking. We're talking about like a $50,000 used car, Canadian. That's like
right. 10, but what is the price difference?
That's like 10 pounds.
But what's the difference between the IA and the non-IA in percentage? 20%, 30% more?
More than that.
More than that. Double?
Yeah. Close, but it's not just the camera retention, because it's all of the other info adapter features, right? So and it depends on the vehicle, but it's roughly about that. On the Cayenne, it's about that.
Okay.
Right? It's about like 70% more, 75. It's close enough to double.
Look how clean that makes that look, with that screen aftermarket.
If you didn't know,
clutter gone.
If you didn't know, you wouldn't know.
You wouldn't know.
No.
How would you know?
Right. But that's the point. That's what makes these kits, the texture, the integration. if you had to design it in your brain yourself, this is how you'd make it.
And that just takes an 11/16 911 just whoop to 2021 right there in one maneuver.
Yep. And those things have gone up for anybody following those. If you're looking for anything that isn't a Carrera, even the Carreras are going up now, but they've gone up mad money.
All the Porsches have gone up.
But like, the turbos, the GT3s, anything from Metzger's, they've all gone up like crazy money.
Okay.
Like 70, 80, 100,000 more.
Which is why you and I don't have one, Romesh. Remember?
I have pictures.
Pictures too.
Yeah, pictures.
Okay. Very nice job.
I have friends.
Kudos to Connects2 on this one. I find this one's really slick right there. Okay. Here's another one. So this is Macan 11/16. What is that? What is that I see there? The port, is that just like a sunglass holder, like a little pocket?
Yeah, I mean, that was obviously just a storage bin.
It's a storage piece. Okay.
Just so we had the depth to get a doubled in unit in there, we kind of had to use that space, and it still gave you like a holder above.
There's a space above it, right?
Yeah. So we gave the customer that back to try and get it to look as OE as possible.
I'm going to make a comment here, and your engineers aren't going to like me, or your design guys, but I just want to say it. You know, it'd been really cool is if you could have taken that door panel on the bottom and have integrated on the top.
Yeah, there is that.
That would have been super slick. I understand the challenges with that, but I'm just saying.
The body line is different at the top.
I know, but imagine, or a look and feel, copy that look and feel with a pocket. I don't know, but then again, that would involve putting the Porsche logo on something, which is a whole other conversation. But anyhow.
Yeah, that won't go well.
Fabricator, you fab guys can do it. I know you can. All right, here we go.
Careful what you suggest.
Yeah, I know. That's why I skip slides immediately. So 9/16. Another real slick, clean upgrade right there. Look how many buttons you get rid of. Holy cow. 2 knobs, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I don't know, like 15, 16 different buttons plus a CD slot.
Yep.
Wow. Yeah.
I mean, honestly, I mean, it really looks
like it's supposed to come like that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I was hesitating using
the word it's so important that the dealers
Porsche,
have these images to show customers. Like this is a home run when you have to show them what this was.
That's what this video is for.
Yeah, 100%. Like, look at that. This is what you have right now. This is what it would look like. Like, wow. Okay. I know why I have to pay.
I mean, for all the dealers out there, when you're talking to your consumers, you can dig this. You can dig this video up afterwards. I use them all the time in phone conversations with dealers. I'm like, hey, here's a link. Go to 3 minutes and 42 seconds.
Boom.
Right.
We talk about it right there.
Right. I regurgitate these videos all the time because they're useful, because you can talk about it on the phone and everyone goes, yeah, but the picture's worth 1,000 words.
There it is. Yeah. All right. Oh, okay. Let's jump to golf. We're running out of time. Let's speed this up a little bit here. So Golf Mark 7.
Yeah, the Golf Mark 7, that particular one, we brought the head unit just forward a little. Well, the fascia forward a little, just so you can get a full depth radio in there. It's slightly different to the one that you've seen in the video. The buttons actually go across the top of the radio, and it's a separate product there, but you still access it the same way, your menu up, down. But essentially it works what you've seen in the video earlier on.
The buttons that are there, Stuart, those are Connects2 buttons. That isn't taken from the original dash, correct?
That's right. Those are ours. Obviously we've had that. It starts out as a 3D scan. It all gets built from there.
Neat. And I like what you said there. So I noticed in the kit, it comes forward a bit because you made space to have a standard depth radio be able to install in that space. Understood.
That's right.
So again, for dealers, it's what you have right now, because it is a challenge trying to keep inventory for radios in stock. So having a kit that doesn't require, a fitment of only 20% of the radios available, or whatever that number is important. And this kit will do it.
And that's 15 to 21.
Correct. So that's Mark 7. Like that's
a lot of golfs.
That's except for the one that just launched.
Right.
It's all of them. So all the cars coming off lease, all of those Golf Rs that are out there, and there's a ton of them selling for more than they originally sold for. Yeah, well, that you could argue that all day, but
fine. More than what they originally
there's all kinds of those. There's GTIs for days. There's all the production delays that are going on with new cars. But being able to get modern CarPlay and Android Auto into them is super important. I don't know if do we have a video on this?
No, we don't.
Okay. So those buttons are almost like I want to say like a synaptic touch almost. I mean, they're not, but they have
don't
that feel.
physically click, right? You just kind of put like pressure sensitive.
Is that correct, sir?
That particular one, it's a push button. You get the click. Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
So those like the integration on that kit is fantastic, and it is a full info adapter style harness. So it's not just a steering wheel interface with radio replacement with steering wheel interface. It's the full deal. You can see those two little yellow, actually right where your mouse, right where your mouse is, right there. You can see the you're asking about Ben, you'd asked about the info adapter and how it connected.
Mm-hmm.
Those.
That's it right there. Got it.
You need to connect to both of those.
These two, yeah.
If only one of those two.
And no programming required, eh?
No, you plug and play.
Wow.
Part of a brand philosophy, really, with Connects2, to make everything as plug and play as we possibly can.
Like if you're an expediter and you do used car dealerships or new car dealerships or whatever, these harnesses, because they don't require your laptop to be opened,
right,
are just
or
put
internet.
them in, set them and forget them.
Or internet.
Right.
Gotcha. All right. A4, B8 and B8.5. Again, I see this is for most amplified and non-amplified.
Yeah. Do you want me to jump on that one or do you want to do it, Stu?
You can jump on that one if you want.
I'll jump on this. Yeah, sure. So again, 4 flavors. So pretty much the same thing that we talked about with the Porsche with the Cayenne Macan. We've got a info adapter, both most amplified and non-amplified. So the fiber optic amplifier, little beam of light going to the amplifier in the back for those that don't know what that is. So we've got first section, the CTU, the AU02, AU01, amplified and non-amplified. Those are the harnesses, and then the kitting, the kitting underneath it is the plastic that you'll need, the CT23 AU13L, which is left-hand drive, and then the antenna adapter, and then below it is non-MMI info adapter. So sorry, I said info adapter, non-info adapter. They're all info adapter. It's MMI and non-MMI. Sorry. So 2 different flavors of car. There is a description with on the website showing you, if you didn't know, what the MMI wheel looks like or the controller looks like.
Right, because that's the giveaway. It's
multimedia interface. Yeah, it's the Audi term for what people in BMW world called iDrive. Right, it's the MMI little controller. So you'll have MMI, non-MMI, both amplified, non-amplified, and then the bottom you've got non-MMI with the most amplifier and non-most amplified. So dealers, please, with your customer, hey, Mr. Customer, do you have the amplified system? Guys, for what it's worth, bring the car in. Look at the car. Like I know it in your brain it slows your process down, but it really doesn't. Because when the car gets there and everybody guessed the wrong one, the consumer, the dealer, it doesn't matter. The installer, whatever. Right? If you don't look at the vehicle, your chances of guessing 1 out of 4 are 25%.
I imagine if I was a dealer and I called Romesh and we're talking about this vehicle, you'd be like, okay, are you in the vehicle right now? I want you to confirm 100% that this is the one that you're talking
right.
about.
Where the challenge will be is unless the dealer, unless you have a working knowledge of what the amplified system visually looks like in the doors and like what the speaker configuration is or what the markings are, you're kind of still guessing. Like, is it amplified? Oh, I think it is. There's a sub in the truck. Yeah. There's a grill there. Well, maybe there's a grill there and there's nothing in it.
But it doesn't mean there's a sub in it.
Yeah. Well, right. Like we don't it's just a complicated. It's playing 20 questions and you still might get it wrong. But if the car came in and the guy that does the work in the back of your shop, which might not be you in the front of the shop, looks at it and tells you what it is, you're that much further ahead.
But you know what the message is here, Romesh? The Connects2 got you covered, regardless of which scenario or situation you have.
No, for sure. Yeah. And so Audi, so B8 chassis and B8.5 chassis go 09 to 16. So that is the almost newest chassis or Audi A4 chassis on the market in Canada. There are. I looked this up the other day because I didn't know. I went to Auto Trader, so just listed on Auto Trader. I wanted to say there was in the thousands of A4s from 09 to 16.
Huge.
I went nationally. So there is a massive amount of cars that don't have CarPlay and Android Auto because most of them didn't come with it. I don't think any of them came with it.
Yeah, Volkswagen, Audi in particular has always been a little bit behind. I find every other manufacturer when it comes to technology.
Right. And I think BMW, the 3 Series, we saw the 3 and 4 Series kit earlier. I think that was similar too. I don't think CarPlay was easy to get back then either.
We're gonna have to wrap this up.
This one's on Stuart.
Stuart, what are we looking at?
So this one that we're looking at right now is the BMW Mini. Put this one in the slide just because there are quite literally thousands of them around, aren't they? You see it as quite a common vehicle, and a vehicle that people like to modify at the same time, not just audio-wise either. But again, these vehicles are starting to get to an age now, even where the OE radio, that's going to start to fail. So even just as a whole filler, really, as someone wanted to put a single DIN radio in there, we can get you covered. But if you did want to get your Android Auto, your CarPlay, features that probably didn't even exist in 2006, 7, 8.
2006, no.
Yeah. So
USB was new back then.
Yeah.
No, I'm serious. It was actually it was like new.
Yeah.
Bluetooth was new.
Is there even a USB charger in this? I bet you there isn't. Not in the 06 model. Anyhow. So yeah, nice looking kit. I like the textured finish. This fits right in for non-amplified vehicles with automatic AC. That's what it is right there. And this gets you a double DIN, right? This is a double DIN. That opening right here.
Double DIN with actual steel to mount.
Yeah, steel hardware. Nice.
Not plastic, not stuff that's gonna like release, like where you got plastic brackets that might release later. And yeah, okay, fantastic.
So Mini, very cool. So real quick to wrap this up, more vehicle types covered than any other manufacturer. 500,000 installs a year. OEM functionality retained. Easy as possible plug-and-play installations. Best in-class technical support. We covered that, indeed. In-house engineers. We talked about that. The team. Prototyping, development, all in-house. And a large, unique application range no one else caters for. I think that's the key message here, guys. Stuart, there's no doubt in my mind, and I think I've known this since the first time Connects2 came on to CMA, that this is a very, very unique product range. Provides some incredible solutions. And like I said, I want to make the differentiation between, yes, you may be the only one doing it, but you do it incredibly well. And that's a two-pronged thing that you have to pay attention to. So Romesh, you want anything to add to that statement?
No. I mean, like, it's not, yeah. It literally, the integration is exactly the way that you would want it to be. There's never it kind of works like that, except it works the way you would think it works. Yeah, and those images, like you said, whether you use this video on demand or you check out the website Connects2, I think they have visuals for all of this. Real quick, got a YouTube channel as well.
Yeah, YouTube channel as well. Just while we have Stuart, any plans for the newer Mini model, Stuart?
Yeah, we actually have one of the newer ones on the website right now. That is for we support navigation and non-navigation models for that as well. So you go quite high on the trim level.
On behalf of CMA and Importel, I want to thank you, Stuart, for taking the time. We're going to go let you have some supper now because I know it's getting into a little. It is supper time. And we definitely would love to have you back maybe sometime next year to update us on a couple of the newer applications.
I'd love to come back. Thank you for having me.
All right. Take care, Stuart.
Thanks for joining us, Stuart. Thanks
you
for staying late. Appreciate it.
Bye. No problem. Bye.
Wrap this up real quick.
Yeah.
The final message that you have for dealers looking at these type of integration solutions.
Check the Connects2.com website. Look, when people are calling you and you're looking to quote jobs or customers are coming in, you need to check the site. It's important because these jobs, for the same hour and a half or 2 hours that you're going to have a car or whatever, 3 or whatever amount of time it takes you to install a radio, we talked about a domestic truck earlier. I won't name names, but if you're doing something like that, or you're doing a Porsche or a BMW or what have you, it's just more lucrative over the same amount of time. Right? The consumer, if you're a consumer, you get exactly what you want. You get proper integration. You get it works the way you want it to. And for the dealer, it goes in, it stays in, it integrates the way your customer wants it to. And just because there's more engineering and there's more parts, the cost of everything is a little bit more because the vehicles are more complex. And that means that over the 3 hours in the bay, there's
Done.
more money.
Win, 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 win. That's
Yeah.
all I hear.
Yeah.
Ramesh, thank you so much for joining us today, guys. If
Thanks,
you're
Ben.
interested
Appreciate
in
it.
more Connects2 product, distributed exclusively in Canada for your friends at Importel. Check out importel.com. Give them a call on their 1-800 number and get you some Connects2. Have
Do
a
it
good
up.
one, dude.
Thank
Take
you.
care. Bye-bye.
Take care. Bye.
All right, that's a wrap on today's Connects2 episode. Big shout out to Stuart over across the pond for joining us, as well as Romesh from Importel. Hope you learned a lot. Again, want some Connects2? Give Importel a call. That's it for today's CMA Connected. Thanks for tuning in to this lunchtime learning session. I'll be back to you Wednesday and Friday as well. And don't forget, this Wednesday is CMA Live, our last and final episode, all about some audiophile brands that you might want to check out. On that note, I'm your host, Bmw, for CMA Live Connected, presented by SiriusXM. Until next time, we connect.
Goes topics. I mean, yeah, let's talk about
Stop
today.
it.
Today we're gonna go
Yo.
topics.
Roll it down.
I am.
You don't need a car to listen to SiriusXM. You can listen anywhere. You know that, right?
What? Kevin Hart's Laugh Out Loud Radio.
Kevin, you could use your phone.
What?
Alexa, play Kevin Hart's Laugh Out Loud Radio on SiriusXM.
What?
This is how I know you're getting old. I guess that was it.
What?